7 kingdoms, 1,000 betrayals, 10,000 corpses, all of it for one ugly iron chair. And in the final episode, a dragon strolls up to that chair and melts it into a puddle. And here's the barb I'm setting in you right now. The one person who actually wins this game, the single soul who walks out the door with everything, was sitting in the very first episode, right in front of you, and nobody was watching him. Not the players, not you. Stay to the end. I'll walk him out and hand him to you myself. I'm Rook. We steal the story, you keep the hours. 70 hours of television. 73 episodes. The show the whole planet loved for 8 years. Then turned on in about 6 weeks. You want all of it? Lock the door. Hood up. I'm robbing the entire thing in one sitting and handing you back 3 days of your life. Let's crack it. The board. One continent, Westeros. 7 kingdoms welded into one, ruled from a single seat, the Iron Throne. 1,000 swords from 1,000 beaten enemies, melted down into the most uncomfortable chair ever built. 1,000 blades, 0 cushions, and a mortality rate of basically everyone who sits in it. That's the vault. 3 families you need, 1 threat everybody ignores. Up north in the cold, the Starks, honest to a fault. Their words are, winter is coming, the most ignored warning in fiction, so pocket it, it pays off. Their father, Ned Stark, honorable, decent, the closest thing this show has to a hero. Hold that word, hero. This world does terrible things to it. Down south in the gold, the Lannisters, rich and ruthless. A Lannister always pays his debts, usually with interest, usually in blood. Queen Cersei, her twin brother Jaime, the Golden Knight, and Tyrion, the youngest, a dwarf, a drunk, and the sharpest mind in any room he stumbles into. And across the sea, forgotten by everyone, a teenage girl with silver hair and no army. Daenerys Targaryen, and her brother, the last of a dynasty that once ruled all of this from the back of a dragon. The dragons are extinct. She's got a name and 3 stone eggs. File the eggs away. In this show, the worthless thing in the corner is always the loaded gun. And the thing nobody realizes? Beyond a giant wall of ice at the top of the map, something old and dead is waking up. The whole realm's about to spend 8 years knifing each other over the chair, while the actual apocalypse walks toward the back door. That's the joke the show tells the entire time. Everyone's cracking the vault. Nobody's watching the alarm. Doors open. Here come the bodies. Ned Stark takes a job he should have refused. Hand of the King. Right hand to his old war buddy King Robert. A fat, drunk, good-hearted disaster of a king. The last man who held the job died suspiciously. Tell number 1. Ned plays detective and pulls one loose thread. The king's kids, blonde princes, a blonde princess, look nothing like their black-haired father. Do that math, and it comes out to a secret that gets people killed. The queen's 3 children aren't the king's. They're her brothers, Cersei and Jaime. The twins. Yeah, that kind of show. Now, the little boy I told you to remember, Bran. 10 years old, loves to climb. He scales a tower and catches the golden twins mid-secret. Jaime looks at this child, says 4 quiet words. The things I do for love, and shoves a 10-year-old out the window. Bran lives. He never walks again. Hold on to him. He's the most important person in this whole show, and he just took the worst fall of his life. The king conveniently dies, a hunting accident, heavy on the wine. And Ned, being honorable, being our hero, makes the dumbest smart man move on record. He learns the truth, and instead of striking first, warns the queen, gives her a head start. Because it's the honorable thing. Cersei's reply is the thesis of the whole show, so tattoo it on your arm. When you play the Game of Thrones, you win or you die. There is no middle ground. Ned plays honorable. So Ned dies, arrested, betrayed by a smiling schemer named Littlefinger. Remember the grin? And in Episode 9, the vicious boy King Joffrey takes the hero's head. With the man's own sword, in front of his daughters. Episode 9, not the finale, of Season 1. That's the show grabbing you by the collar. There's no plot armor here. The hero can die with 3/4 of the story left. And he does. Meanwhile, our silver-haired girl is having a worse year than you. Sold in marriage to a warlord named Khal Drogo by her weasel of a brother. When the brother whines one time too many, Khal gives him the golden crown he always begged for, a pot of molten gold over the head. Then she loses Khal too, and their unborn son with him. Nothing left. So she does the one thing nobody sane would. Builds a funeral pyre, sets those 3 worthless stone eggs in the fire, and walks in after them. Morning comes, the fire's out, and she's sitting in the ash, unburnt, 3 newborn dragons crawling over her. The heavy artillery just came back into the world, and she smuggled it in the size of a house cat. Remember the eggs? Told you. Ned's dead, so the realm comes apart. 5 men crown themselves king at once. The Stark's oldest, Robb, wins every battle and gets named King of the North. In the capital, little Tyrion runs the city's defense, and when an enemy fleet sails up the river, he greets it with a ship of wildfire, green liquid that burns like the wrath of God, turning the whole bay into a wall of emerald flame. Beautiful, horrifying, very on brand. But that's the warm-up, because Season 3 walks you, smiling, into a wedding. And listen, if you clock one scene from this entire show, it's the next 90 seconds. Don't look away. The one sacred law of this world is guest right. Eat under a man's roof, and he can't harm you. Oldest rule there is. So when the Starks are invited to a wedding to patch up an alliance, they walk in unarmed, under the oldest protection in the world. The band strikes up a song called The Rains of Castamere. The doors quietly swing shut, and the hosts, bought off by the Lannisters, spring the trap. They stab Robb's pregnant wife first. Then they fill the young king in the north with crossbow bolts, and a man named Roose Bolton slides a knife into his heart with the line, "The Lannisters send their regards." And Robb's mother, Catelyn, has her throat opened as she screams. That's the Red Wedding. The good guys walked in under a truce, and every exit was already wired. Grown adults still hear the first 3 notes of that song and go cold. The show, one more time, teaching its only real lesson. Hope is the trap. 2 wins, because a crew needs some. Across the sea, Daenerys cons a slave master out of an army of 8,000 elite soldiers, says one word, Dracarys, and her dragon turns him to charcoal. She frees the slaves. They lift her up and call her Misa, Mother. And in Westeros, Jaime, the Golden Knight who threw a kid out a window, loses his sword hand and, slowly, starts turning into a man you don't entirely hate. This show loves handing you back the people it broke. Then it hands you a gift. Another wedding. This one for that boy King Joffrey, the one who took Ned's head. Halfway through his own feast, he drinks his wine, grabs his throat, and dies purple in his mother's arms. The whole planet stood up and cheered. I did. Catch is, they pin it on Tyrion. He didn't do it. The real poisoners were quieter players in the crowd, but he's the family scapegoat, and he lands on trial for his life. His own father, the judge, his own lover, dragged in to lie about him. So he flips the table. I demand a trial by combat. His champion is a Dornish prince named Oberyn, fast as a snake, carrying a grudge. against the Lannister monster they call the Mountain, a man the size of a door. And Oberyn wins, killing blow lined up. And then he makes the one mistake this show never forgives. He wants the confession out loud. He gloats. The Mountain grabs him and pops his skull like a grape. Tyrion's condemned, but before the noose he breaks out, climbs to his father's chambers, finds his own lover in his father's bed, and finds the great Tywin Lannister, most powerful man in the realm, on the toilet. That's where Tyrion puts 2 crossbow bolts in him, the most feared man in Westeros, dead on the privy, killed by the son he despised. A Lannister always pays his debts. Turns out, so does everyone the Lannisters ever stepped on. From here, the whole realm eats itself. The best, cruelest stretch of the show. So stay close. The younger Stark girl, Arya, ships off to a foreign city and trains with a cult of assassins who peel off dead faces and wear them like masks. She's building a list. Everyone who wronged her family. And checking it off. Remember the face stealing? It comes back with a body count. In the capital, Cersei arms a pack of religious fanatics to crush her rivals, and it detonates in her hands. They strip her naked and march her through the whole city while a bell rings and a voice chants one word: shame, shame, shame. The crowd spitting and jeering. The proudest woman alive, broken in public. She does not forgive it. Bank that. Up at the wall, our decent bastard hero Jon Snow rises to command the men guarding the realm. And for the crime of being right about the threat, his own men circle him in the dark and knife him one by one, muttering, "For the watch." The last blade is a boy he trusted. Jon bleeds out in the snow, dead, for about 1 episode. Then a red priestess lays hands on his corpse and he comes back. The show quietly telling you it's done playing by human rules. And the threat he kept dying to warn people about? You finally see it. Jon sails to a village to save a few thousand people, and the dead come. The Night King, pale, blue-eyed general of the army of the dead, stands on the shore, locks eyes with Jon across the water, and slowly raises his arms. Every corpse on that beach stands back up as his soldier. Thousands. One gesture. That's the alarm, crew, and it's walking south. 2 more gut punches before the big secret. 1. Bran, up north learning to see across time, accidentally chains his mind to his gentle giant of a servant, a man who can only ever say one word: Hodor. The dead attack. Bran's protector holds a door shut so Bran can flee, dying on it, while in the past, that same magic tears through young Hodor's mind, and the boy collapses hearing, "Hold the door, hold the door, hold door, Hodor." His name was his death all along, and Bran caused it. This show will make you weep over a stable boy. 2. The Starks take their home back. Sansa, the oldest daughter, who outlasted every monster in this show by refusing to break, leads an army against the sadist who tortured her, and when he loses, she feeds him alive to his own starving hounds and walks off with a small smile. The North remembers. And in the capital, Cersei settles every score at once. On the morning of her trial, she just doesn't show. Instead, she blows the great church sky high, a hidden cache of that green wildfire under the floor, and incinerates every enemy she's got in one emerald fireball. Her last living child, watching from a high window, steps off the ledge in grief. And Cersei, having lost everyone, sets the crown on her own head. Queen at last, on a throne of ashes. Now, the secret I promised at the top. The 3-letter equation hiding since episode 1. Here it is. Everyone thinks Jon Snow is Ned Stark's bastard son, the one stain on the honorable man's record. Wrong. Bran, seeing into the past, watches the truth. Jon was never Ned's son. He's Ned's nephew, the child of Ned's sister and the last Targaryen prince, hidden as a low-born bastard to keep him breathing. Which means the quiet man at the wall, the one who keeps dying and coming back, has a better claim to that iron chair than anyone alive. Better than Cersei, better even than Daenerys and her dragons. That's the forged deed to the vault. Proof the person holding the key was never the true owner. Nobody knows it yet, including him. Keep it close. It's the knife the whole thing ends on. Because now, everyone collides. Daenerys sails home, 3 grown dragons, an armada, a Lannister whispering in her ear. She meets Jon Snow. They don't trust each other, then they do. Then, minor detail nobody mentions, they fall in love, not knowing their aunt and nephew. It's that kind of family. They try to prove to the realm that the dead are real, and it costs them. On a mission beyond the wall, the Night King throws a spear of ice and drops one of Daenerys' dragons out of the sky. Dead. Then he raises it. The good guys just handed the apocalypse an air force. And that 8,000-year-old wall of ice, the only thing between the living and the dead? The undead dragon breathes on it, and it comes down. The alarm didn't just go off. The wall's gone. Winter is here. Final season. And here's where the whole world fell out of love with the show. I'll be an honest thief about all of it. Stay with me. It's the con and the fumble in the same 6 episodes. Everyone gathers at the Stark home for the last stand of the living against the dead. Biggest battle ever filmed. 8 seasons of dread aimed at one long night. And it ends. Not with Jon slaying the Night King, but with Arya, the little assassin, flying out of the dark to bury a dagger in him and shatter his whole army in a single stroke. Great scene. But look at the shape. The apocalypse, the thing they built for 8 years, dies in episode 3 of 6. The monster was the undercard. The main event was always people. And the chair. Because the second the dead are gone, everyone remembers they still want the seat. And here's the turn that split the planet in half. Daenerys, the girl who freed the slaves, the breaker of chains, the one clean hero we had left, marches on the capital. Her enemies murder her closest friend and shoot down another dragon. She's lost nearly everyone. She's alone, and the last thing holding her back snaps. She flies her final dragon over the city, and the city surrenders. The bells ring. The war is already won, and she burns it anyway. Tens of thousands of innocent people, the whole city to ash from the sky. The breaker of chains becomes the exact monster she spent 8 years hunting. Savior and villain, same woman, same 5 minutes. Which leaves Jon, the true heir who never wanted it, the man who loves her, holding the last impossible choice in the show. He takes her in his arms, tells her she's his queen, now and always, and slides a knife into her heart. And then the single most Game of Thrones image in the series. Her last dragon lands beside her body, mad with grief, and every viewer braces for it to burn Jon alive. It doesn't. It turns its head and melts the Iron Throne. The chair. The thing everyone spent the whole show and 10,000 lives trying to sit in. A grieving animal understood what no human ever did. The chair was the enemy all along. So it turned the vault into a puddle and flew off with the only thing it ever loved. End of the tunnel. The open loop. The winner. Chair's slag. Dragon Queen's dead. The Lannisters are under the rubble. The North wants out. So the surviving lords sit in a circle to pick a ruler, and Tyrion, smartest man in the show, stands and asks one question. Who has a better story than Bran the Broken? Bran, the boy from the window. The kid shoved off a tower at the beginning of the show, who never walked again, who wandered into the far north and came back a still, strange creature who sees all of history and wants absolutely nothing. He's your winner. The one player who never made a move for the chair, never lied for it, never bled for it, never wanted it, is the only one left holding it. Everyone who reached for the vault died reaching. The inside man, who just watched and waited and let the whole world frisk everybody but him, walks out with all of it. That's the con the show ran from its first scene. You were watching kings and queens and dragons. You should have been watching the boy at the window. Nobody was guarding him. That was the point. The rest of the crew scatters clean. Sansa tears the North free and rules it as its own queen. The survivor gets a crown. Arya wants no throne and no home. She sails off the edge of the map to find what's west of everything. And Jon, the true heir, the rightful king, the man who gave up the vault twice, gets shipped back to the cold and walks into the snow with the wildlings and his direwolf, free of a chair he never wanted. The man with the best claim to everything chooses nothing. Very on theme. Now the honest thief part, because a crew doesn't lie to itself. This is the show that conquered the earth, and in its last 6 episodes, it fumbled the getaway. 8 years of patient setup, and the ending floored the car before everyone was in it. The Queen's turn to villain was right, seeded from the start, but rushed so hard it played like whiplash instead of tragedy. The apocalypse got wrapped early. Arcs that took seasons to build got paid off in minutes. The finale pulled the biggest audience the show ever had, and most of them walked out muttering. There's a petition with well over 1 million signatures politely demanding they redo the whole final season. And yet, here's what I'll defend to the end. The bones of that ending are pure Game of Thrones. The chair melted. The hero who did everything right walks away with nothing but his freedom. The kid nobody watched wins the world. The savior became the tyrant. It's the right destination. They just sprinted the last mile and tracked mud through the vault on the way out. Clean score, sloppy exit. Happens on the best jobs. And that's the take. 8 seasons, 70 hours, 73 episodes of betrayal, dragons, and one very melted chair, lifted in a single sitting. Time stolen on this job? About 3 days of your life, handed right back. You're welcome. Spend them well, or go rewatch Season 1. It hits completely different once you know the boy at the window wins. Now, you work. In the comments, who actually deserved that throne? The heir who didn't want it? The queen who lost her mind? The survivor up north? Or the boy who just watched? And the real one, did they stick the landing or fumble the getaway? Be wrong. Be wrong loudly. While you're down there, hit subscribe, your membership card to the crew. We pull a job like this every single week. Movies, shows, games. If it has a story, we steal it and hand you the hours back. And the board's open. 3 targets and the most wanted gets cracked next. 1. The spice planet where the loot is the drug that runs the universe, and the chosen one might be the villain. That's Dune. 2. A galaxy far, far away. 1 masked man, 1 family secret worth a galaxy, and we finally settle who shot first. Star Wars. 3. 40 years of a swamp, an ogre, and a talking donkey turning every fairy tale inside out. Don't laugh. The Shrek job has layers. You pick where we hit. The crew always does. That's the Game of Thrones job, start to finish. 1 chair, 9 crews, 10,000 bodies. And a winner nobody was even looking at. I'm Rook. We steal the story. You keep the hours. See you on the next job. And hey, if anyone ever invites you to a wedding in the north, don't go.